How many people here think they have some real tough price buyers that they can deal with? Raise your hands. How many people say, oh, about 50% of your people are really trying to nail you on price? Raise your hands. Okay, quite a few people. All right. In reality, now I've been in sales, done sales training for 20 years. And I've sold everything from $450,000 lasers to soap to copiers. I've even sold, where is that little sucker? Right here. I've even sold midstream urine collection cups. Okay, so I've sold it and seen it all. And we're going to talk about how you put value in a midstream urine collection cup a little later as well. If you went to a liquor store to buy a bottle of wine for guests that were coming over to your house, would you buy a bottle of $2 Chuck or Riuniti carbonated wine to save a little money? Yeah. And finally, let me ask you one more. How many men here have had a colonoscopy? Raise your hands. All right, okay. When they rolled you into the surgery suite and the doctor approached you, did you ask him if he'd give you a 10% discount if it only lasted for 4 minutes? I don't think so, okay? Price is almost always more significant in the mind of the seller, not the customer, all right? In reality, less than 10% of all your customers are true price buyers. In all the surveys they've done and all the products, ag products as well, they have found out that a true price buyer, and that's the person who's going to buy on price, and that's his anchor. He's going to haggle you. He's going to get on you like ugly on an ape until he gets that price. And he's going to force it out of you. He's going to put you in a vice and squeeze you and squeeze you. That's less than 10% of those are out there. And of that 10%, about half of those are either purchasing agents or they work for the federal government. So the people that, salespeople fear most hardly even exist. Because the majority of people would put it in the top 5. In reality, when they look at it, price in the eyes of the customer is number 7. And it's going down even further. Because of all the change and chaos that is coming in, and so much is taking place in the ag area. Although the prices are good, farmers are making money, with all the uncertainty that are out there, it's more important, the value and relationships are becoming even more important. They want a good conduit of information. They want somebody they can trust. They want, those factors have become more and more important, and price is becoming less and less as it goes along. So that's going to even drop further. Third one, number one thing most salespeople don't do or don't do very well is talk price. And if they do, they don't discuss it credibly, comfortably, or confidently. True or false? True. Get this. 90% of salespeople will not even raise the issue of price with a customer. They will simply wait for the customer to bring it up. They will not. They don't want to talk about price. They don't want to bring it up until they have to. And then out of that, 50% of the salespeople, when directly asked about the price by the customer, will change the subject by saying something like, I'm going to get to that later. What is that saying to that customer? What is that saying about your attitude about price, what you think about price? And what's worse, we take it even further. Research also shows that 1/3 of the salespeople never say the price out loud. They have it down on a piece of paper, and then they turn around and say, here's the price. They won't say it out loud. 1/3. What do you do? When you do that, you're just saying to the customer, you're saying to that customer that you're not comfortable with your price. You're ashamed of and when you're not as comfortable with your price as you are with a product, you are asking to play poker. You're asking it to become, an obstacle, and it will. He added a new program to that leasing that makes it the most unique thing. You get that excited, he's going to think you're high on something. And I've done that. I do that twice to a customer when I was selling. They never come up with another objection because they don't want to deal with it anymore. My God, he's going to go. He's going to go into a freak out on me. Well, the same thing can happen with price. If a guy said, I'm going to pay $7,500 for that, I said, yes, the best product, the best price. Can't do any better than that, can I? What's he going to do? If you get this, he's not going to battle with you over a price. Yes, it's good. There's nothing wrong with doing it. Yeah, I always get this. People look at me like, my God, would you actually do that? Yes, I would actually do that. Or if a guy comes and says, you know, I don't know really if, you know, what's it going to cost anyway for that application? Instead of putting it off and say, I'll get to that later, I say, you know, I was going to save. What is your name? Jim? I said, Jim, I was going to save the best for last. But since you asked it, let me tell you, we're going to be able to apply that to your field at $17.38 an acre. Isn't that incredible? Good quality product, good quality price. The only thing we need to know now is when we're going to schedule it in. Should we do that? I mean, if I come back and say, I'm glad you asked that, I was going to save the best for the last. He's going to think, wow, this guy's really got, he's as proud of his price as he is in his product. And all I'm doing is eliminating that ordeal of having to play poker. We had kind of an off year. Had a little problem with the weather. I saw a guy. I travel around with salespeople and critique them. And this guy was in hail insurance. You know, we had a bad year. We had to make up for some losses, and so. But we still have, and that's wowing. And you absolutely open the door because you're signaling to them that you're not going to like this. You know, maybe we ought to do something. This takes place when the customer thinks the price is negotiable because of what we say this way. You want somebody you want to do business with, and you say, you know, what is your name?
Craig.
Craig. Craig, you know, you've been in the heart of my territory for, you know, and I've wanted to do business with you. I mean, I see you grow, and I want to be part of that growth, and we really like to bring you into the camp. What do we got to do to get your business? How many times have I seen somebody, what do we got to do to get it done? What do we got to do to make a deal? And what are both of those things saying? We're going to talk price. We're going to go down that road. I'm going to get the vice out. I'm going to wheel and deal. How many people here, think of your best product, your most important product. How many people here could write down 5 things that distinguish that value of that product? You would have no question, no hesitation whatsoever that would say 5 things about that product that make it outstanding, that you are ready to talk about at any given time. All right? How many people here could, right now, if I asked you to put down on a piece of paper 5 value reasons why the customer would want to do business with you? Why they would want to do business with you more than anything else? Let's say a customer he come in as a John dealer, John dealership, and he's looking for a 6D utility tractor, okay? He walks in, he's looking around, he looks at his utility tractor, and he's got some things he wants to add to it or whatever, and you tell him the price. And he says, holy Moses. You know, I can save $7,000 going right down the road. There's a Kubota or maybe a Montana dealership. I can get a utility tractor down there. You're not the only ones that make utility tractors. I can get it a lot cheaper, and I can save some significant money. Yeah. What would you do? If you're going to hit value, I would simply say, you know, and your name is Jeff. Jeff, I went to work for John Deere 8 years ago for 3 reasons. 1, the quality of product that we make. 2, the quality of service, the staff that we have to take care of those. And 3, the integrity of our price. Jeff, I'm not going to lie to you. John Deere is in the business to make a profit. I'm not debating that at all. But I'm here to tell you, John Deere is not in the business and never has been to make a killing. That's not the way we work. So just remember, nothing runs like a deer. You know, start collecting these on your products. Start collecting them. Somebody said a good generic. The first thing I'd say, I said, have you ever looked up generic in a dictionary? You know what it says in there? It says almost exact. Almost. That almost can cost you some money. I found this out myself. You know, when I was putting this program together, I went to talk to one of my friends, Scott. He went generic on an application and saved $2 an acre. He had 800 acres. He's going to put it on 400 acres, and they went with a traditional name brand that he had before. on 400 and took the generic and put it on the other. 400 acres, $2 an acre. He was so happy he saved $800 until he looked at the side-by-side. He lost 7 bushels an acre using the generic. He sold that corn at $6 a bushel straight out of the field. Now you take 6 times 7 times 400 and you end up having $16,800 he lost to save 800. I'd look at that customer and say, do you want to run that risk? Do you want to run that gamble? I'm not going to say it's going to happen to you, but I'm going to tell you this. It can happen. But if your customer tells you he can get a deal from a competitor but doesn't look you directly in the eye when he's saying it, there's about a 90% chance to you that he's not telling you the truth, all right? That's called neurolinguistics, and it's true. If I say to that customer, I look him right in the eye and I say, I'm going to tell you something, I can get the exact same thing down the road 30 miles and save 10%. If he looks you right in the eye, he means it. He can, all right? But if he's looking, he says, you know, I can go down the road 30 miles and get that same thing. I can get that same price down there and save 10%. If he's looking anywhere else, but not in your eyes, 90% chance he's pulling a bluff. And that's when I'd say that. I understand you probably can. But I also understand we've had a great relationship, yada, yada, yada. We've done things, you know. And I think, you know, I think, David, that's important to you. I think it's more important to you than that 10%. And I'll work harder to make it even more important this year.